So, why well-being? Why is it important? What's the big deal about it? It's used a lot as a term, but we need to know why it's significant. We think it's significant for two reasons. Firstly, it seems pretty clear that we are all declining in well-being in the workplace. There are lots of indicators that say that the well-being of your average worker is going down. We're finding work tougher, we're finding it more stressful, and I'll go through some of the reasons why, but it's more stressful and we're suffering as a result. The other reason it's so important is that for businesses, successful businesses, the well-being of their workers is ever more important. There's artificial intelligence, automation, reduces the amount of process tasks we do. What we really need to be doing in our workplace, what the successful people in our workplace are doing, is more creative, problem-solving sorts of tasks. You can't do these sorts of things on autopilot. You need to be in a great state of mind, with the best environment. You need to have all the support. You're a bit like an athlete that's running a race. You need to have all the right things in place. You need to be physically and mentally and emotionally fit to do that. So here are some facts. Talking about the research that Steelcase do, we surveyed 37,000 people globally, mostly in the US, about their well-being at work. And we found that they were losing 30 minutes a day due to physical discomfort. This is a pretty big figure when you think of the productivity loss that you get from that. The other big bit of data we saw was that we are faced with 11 million bits of information every day, every second even. We're only supposed to be able to process 40 bits. I personally think I can probably only do 1 or 2 bits, but anyway, it's too much. We are overloaded with information. And the cost of this was estimated at $300 billion. I mean, crazy money. There are good numbers to back this up. We've really put a lot of resource and time into getting these figures and back them all up. But it has a massive effect on business. So we would argue that the wealth of business depends on the health of workers. It just really is that simple. It's not necessarily an altruistic move to increase the well-being of your workers. It's actually a business one as well. So here are some numbers. 3. What does 3 represent? 3 represents 3 minutes. So it's every 3 minutes we switch tasks. On average, this is across quite a large sample that we took. So we're switching tasks every 3 minutes. 11. So 11 is also minutes. This is how often we get interrupted. We get interrupted every 11 minutes in a normal working day. And 25 is, again, minutes. That is how long it takes us to get back into flow. Flow is a lovely term. I really like this concept. It was developed by this chap whose name I cannot pronounce, but I'm sure he can. It's when you're fully immersed in your work, when you're really into it, you really feel that you're enjoying it and you're being productive, and you have that sort of sweet spot of really being in the right place and doing the right thing. It's something that's really great, but it's something that is so often interrupted, but not just by other people and external forces, but also by our tendency to multitask. Now, we all know that multitasking is something, well, there is material evidence to say that women are better at multitasking than men. And this, number 5, is not 5 minutes, it's what we found to be the reduction in IQ when women are multitasking. So that means that the IQ level, the cognitive function, goes down by 5 IQ when you're jumping between different tasks. You can probably guess that with men this is somewhat higher, 15. Men's IQ drops by 15 when we multitask. So guys, just don't bother. It is a problem. And I don't think we really see it as maybe it's a necessity, but I think it's important to realise that this is something that does happen. I think privacy is one of the big criteria for designing spaces that we have focused on in recent years. And it's not just about having more privacy. The pendulum has swung between having big open plan spaces when we went from the sort of 80s and 90s onwards with having private offices to kind of going back the other way. We found that these big open spaces can be a real nightmare to actually do any productive work. So we talk about different types of privacy. We have open space, which can be great if you're in the sort of environment where you're wanting to socialize and make relationships and talk to people. We also need shielded spaces, which are semi-enclosed, where you can focus, but actually stuff going on, you can allow yourself to be distracted. And then there are times when you just need to get your head down and focus on something, and then you need to be enclosed. And we talk a lot about this movement between these different settings, these different modes. And a theme I'll come up with in a minute is this idea of having choice and control. So having the choice to move between different environments and the ability to do that. People talked about the death of the office. People often said that with teleworking and the internet and so on, that people wouldn't have to go into the office anymore. But we found that has been the case, and that's because people want to be with other people. Yeah, sometimes you need to go into the office because you want the faster broadband, or you need a meeting room, or you need to use the telepresence. But actually, the driving force is that people need to have quality interactions with their colleagues. These engagements help to collaborate, they help to solve problems, they help to build relationships. They're an incredibly important part of what we call work. So the question is, can it be a happier place? Can work be a thing that makes you happier? And I think what's interesting for us is not the broader term of work, but the physical environment, the place that you want to go to. I think the other thing that's really interesting is that now that we are in a situation where our workers in organisations have a choice, they can choose to work at home or in Starbucks or in a co-working space or wherever they choose to go. If you are the creator of a physical workspace, and you could be a creator of a co-working space or a corporate office, you kind of need to attract people in. You can't just tell people if you're not at your desk, you're not really working. You need to attract people. You need to make this place not just physically good, not just cognitively good, but also a place that they love and want to be in. And this is where the branding of an organisation can be so much help for its workplace.